Om Tat Sat. Om Satyanandam. Om Paravak Shakti. Om. God alone exists. God alone is reality. Om. The 27th live stream teaching of SATYAVEDISM. Om. How to prepare for the live streams, live Q&As. LSSV 27. Om. Om, Om, Om. Om. There are several steps to prepare. Om. 1. Om. I am not what is thought about through body consciousness. Through God consciousness, I am God. God alone exists. All is God. God Omni is God. God seen and unseen. God noumenon and God phenomena. God manifestation. God consciousness. God absolute. Om. Om. I am God absolute. Om. I am not of a species. Om. I am not, quote, human, unquote. Om. I have no gender. I have no relations. I am nothing that is seen as a form. I am not this body. I am not what can be spoken about as a person. I am God. I am Brahman. I am Para-Brahman. I am God absolute. So when this seeming body is addressed, this replication, this digital representationing of phenomenological occurrencing, I am not that. I am Om, God, speaking directly to God about God. Om. Though there are many and will be many misconceptions of what this is in the dreaming, and that is to occur, and it is understandable, but there is much informationing, God truth informationing, in stating that I am God directly. In the assertion that I am God, to counterbalance the misconceptions that are to occur, regardless. So I am not this body. I am not of a species. I am not a person. I am not, quote, human, unquote. I am none of that. I am God absolute. Period. Now there are a few labels that already have been assigned to this body hallucination appearance. And those labels can be referred to if there's feelings of comfortability in using such labels. But it can easily be said when there is questioning and answering that God is answering, that God is questioning. Because that is God truth. But the following are labels that can be referenced regardless. And then, of course, there'll be many more labels that are completely inaccurate, of course. But the labels would be, first, one, that there is no label, which is God, Om. Om. Satya, number one, which is truth. And that is not referring to a body. It is God truth. Parasatya, Om. Sri Satya. It's two. Three, SATYAVATARA, Om. Four, Sri Satya Samudrananda, or Sri Swami Satya Samudrananda. Om. And various other variants that would be Gurudev, Swamiji, Satyaji, etc. Whatever the level of comfortability. There is no need to refer to names at all, really. But if the label names are used, all names are, in fact, names of God, because God alone exists. Om. Now, the live stream teachings in what would be called God in the happening of live Q&A, live question and answering, God questioning God, God answering God, Om. It is necessary to understand that this informationing, as in all of the teachings, all of the scriptures of SATYAVEDISM, are about God truth, not about engaging in fictional, quote, discourse, unquote. So there are, in fact, no seeming lectures or lecturing or seeming discoursing or seeming discussions or seeming back and forth, seeming call and response, seeming of any individuals. None of that is real. So the language that is being used is not what would be called conventional language in being able to describe what is occurring. This is not lecture. This is not discourse. This is not discussion. This is not really communication in that way. This is God transmission of direct God truth and deliverance of God information to effect God realization. Now, this body has been assigned a label. It's called Om, SATYAVATARA, Om, because there is a seeming mission for delivery of the God truth, scriptures, and teachings in the various forms. But I am God, I am not this body. Yet the body has a label. The body will have many labels. So the label, Om, SATYAVATARA, Om, is to be respected. And the teachings of SATYAVEDISM is God evolution. Unlike no seeming other seeming teachings yet before in eternity. Om. So although all teachings are God myself, the teachings being delivered, God manifest, or of God happening, and God in the form of SATYAVEDISM, Om. It is the mission of the seeming God, SATYAVATARA, for deliverance of, and dissemination, and propagation, the spreading of all the God information. That is to God, for the God transcension, to transform God reality, Om, in the God manifestation. And yet, this body seemingly is to be misunderstood as seemingly to be of a species, when that is not what I am. Om. Now this is God speaking to God about God. That means that you, God, are not of a species. You, God, are not limited to a seeming body appearance, an illusionary appearance. So it is not this body, again, it has to be understood very clearly that this body is not declaring it is God exclusively, and that other bodies are not. And this body is not declaring itself as God. This body is not God. It is within God. All is God. But what is speaking, the consciousness, is God consciousness. It is not body consciousness. So when there is engaging with this God transmission, it is best to be prepared to understand this first step in engagement. Two, there are two scriptures. One is the announce events. So that's LSSV 6, which will be provided as a God in the form of link to reference. That's LSSV 6 and SSSV 96. The scripture SSSV 96. Again, the links still be provided. Om. The referenced first link reference, LSSV 6, concerns questions, general questions to be addressed in the live stream teachings. There are asked questions. So the content of which shall be 1, questions about God and God consciousness. 2, questions about God realization and self-realization. 3, questions about spiritual practice. 4, questions about SATYAVEDISM. 5 is left open for whatever questioning occurs spontaneously. So this content, this God content, is apropos of what was termed Ask Satya, or Ask SATYAVATARA, for general responding in the live streams. So this can be extended to the God content that shall occur to occur in live God in the happening of the live stream, live question and answering, which is specifically to address questions and have responses occur. God transmissioning. Om. Three. There should be continuing to occur study of the teachings and scriptures of Satyavedism. Which is the scriptures, 1, the scriptures, LSSV, 2, the proclamations, LSSV, 3, the live streams, LSSV, 4, the transcripts, TSSV, 5, the Jyoti highlights, JHSSV, and to occur 6, the webinars, WSSV. That is to be determined and as to when those commence. And there are other teachings as well. There are the supplementary supportive teachings, but the SSVs are the direct teachings and scriptures of Satyavedism. Om. So there should be some familiarity with those teachings. Om. So the links, God in the form of the links, shall be provided in what is called the description of this teaching. Om. All of those links are to be provided so that there can be, if there already is not familiarity with the teachings before answering and before asking and putting the questions, because the more familiarity there is in God consciousness with the teachings of Satyavedism, the more informed the questions shall be and the response delivered. Om. So when the God in the happening of the live stream, live Q&As commence, Om, there should be the beginning with questionings based on already having absorbed to some extent the teachings afore enumerated. Subsequently, the Q&As shall be extended for more general questioning. But at first, in eternity, seemingly, the teachings and the questions should refer to having some knowledge of the teachings already. So there should be preparing as step 3 so that the questions can be informed. Again, that will extend out to any questioning whatsoever. But the responses are to never be based on what would be called relative fiction. So there should be no expectation. And there should be no expectation at all. But there should be no expectationing fictionally of what would be considered ordinary responding to questions in species fiction. That is not to occur. That is not dysfunctioning. Dysfunctioning is to dispel ignorance, not to generate more ignorance. Step 4. There should be preparedness for what is seemingly tolerated and not tolerated. Now, as God, all activity occurs within myself, and all is accepted. All functioning, all manifesting, all is accepted. No matter what it appears to be. So all ignorance is phenomenon within me, myself, God myself. In God all, omni. And God is dispelling it. It is dispelling the ignorance. So it will appear that this body is dispelling ignorance. But it is God consciousness that is speaking. Paravak Shakti, directly, Om. So, step 4 is that there is no engagement in debate, what is called debate in species fiction. This is not intellectual debate. There is no intellect. There are no intellectuals. There is no back and forth intellectual discourse. So there is no engagement with debate. There is no engagement with conflict. Engaging in conflict is ignorance of divinity. There is no engaging in challenge to authority. The seeming authority is of the highest kind and the only, which is God authority. There are no persons that have any authority. God truth is God authority, Om. God speaks directly with God authority. So all challenges to God authority are ignored as fiction. There is to be little or no speaking about other religions, God in the form of that are myself as God, or other religious teachings of other religions or spiritualities, unless there's need for reference of some sort. There is already all that God information is there. It is all out in God myself, out manifesting to be absorbed. This is God directly knowing all about all of that, all of the other seeming religious information that is myself. But there is no need to go into and answer questions about other seeming religions that are myself. This is about direct God authority, about the religion and spirituality of God, of SATYAVEDISM, of God in the happening of SATYAVEDISM, Om, that is spreading and propagating. So the questionings are to be about the teachings of SATYAVEDISM, Om, and then maybe tangentially to touch upon other seeming teachings that are myself, if necessary, Om. So there's no engaging in debate. There's no challenging of authority that is God myself, God authority. There is no need to speak about other religions that are myself. These are not lectures. This is not discourse. This is not communication between species. None of that. Om. God, through the seeming Satya avatar, is here to dispel ignorance, not to engage it. So speak directly to God, even if the ignorance is seemingly in conflict or debate. It is speaking directly to God in response, to go above, seemingly, to go above and transcend whatever might be appearing as conflict or debate, not directly engaging it on the level of ignorance. This is to dispel ignorance, not to encourage it. God is asserting that. So any debate or conflict will not appear to be tolerated, even though it is all within God myself, accepting all of it. So as in the previous teaching, LSSV 26, gone into extensively, very prevalent, pervasive conflict, ignorance, appearing, God in the happening of, in species fiction, and all the various forms of it, seemingly. So those forms, referring to LSSV 26, just disseminated, are not to be engaged or encouraged when there is the happening of the live question and answering, Q&As. This is only to speak God truth as God, and to speak to God, not to some pseudo-entity with conflict, and not to the conflicting the conflicting fictional content phenomenon, the pseudo-egoing wanting to seemingly have its way, the pseudo-egoing thought content appearing to think that it knows the answers and can give a higher truth, and all of that nonsense. Those seeming negativities are to be seemingly slayed by non-engagement, and the offering of God truth as the only alternative. God reality. Not all the imaginings of what would be deemed as harmful dreaming, but speaking directly to God in response, or engaging in God's silence in response. So there'll be no engagement in any negativity, criticism, rebuking, gossip, conflict, debate, complaint, attacks, linguistic attacks, all of that. Now, it's not to seemingly expect that all of that would be hurled to God truth. It's just that step 4 is that to prepare for the engagement, seemingly, as it might appear. And this is an answer as to why there will be no response, if there's any questioning about that. But that may have to be elucidated more as the live streams, live Q&As persist. So those are 4 main steps of preparation. And then this is to occur. It's to happen spontaneously. And again, it will extend out to general questions, even if there is no God absorption previously, seemingly, of the teachings of Satyavedism. It is to extend to all, God Omni, whether there's knowledge or not of Satyavedism, Om, or Satya seeming, SATYAVATARA, Om. And these live Q&As are to commence shortly and be interspersed between the regular live stream, God and the happening of the live stream teachings of Satyavedism, Om. And then this will extend out to God and the happening of the webinars, Om, WSSVs, where there'll be a more variety of mixed modes of visual presentation with the ability for live Q&As within that. But again, it is of utmost importance to know that when the live streams, live LSSVs, Q&As commence, that there is no speaking to a human being. There is no speaking to a species person. There's no identification with a body. Now there is God, absolute love, so there shouldn't be any feelings of alienation or there should not be any emotions that would be negative. God, absolute love is that there is no separation in God reality. So all is myself, God, myself. All seeming bodies, all seeming structures, all. So all is within God, myself, in God consciousness. There's no separation whatsoever. So all questions will be answered with God truth only, not with fiction, and with God absolute love. Because God Omni should know that all is God, Om. So the God transcension is occurring. And this mission as God through seeming apparent bodies, and then the seeming primary body that is not identified with but is labeled SATYAVATARA, Om. Demands nothing but respect, Om. And ignores any conflict. Completely transcendent. Complete God transcendence as God absolute, Om. to deliver God truth alone. Om. God alone exists. God alone is reality. I am God. I am God. I am God. Om. 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 Paravak Shakti. Om. Satyanandam. Om Tat Sat.